Hi, this is Lisa with Miracle Deliverance, and this is session 5 in talking to people about ministering to those in marriages and who need healing. There is a download with this session that is a worksheet that you can hand to those you're ministering to. And basically, it has some areas of what may be wrong in their marriage, and then there are 3 columns. For example, if you look at connection, we don't connect. Does the wife agree they don't connect? Does the husband agree they don't connect? Or is it both of them? Sometimes you will have one spouse that says we don't connect, and the other one says, I think we connect fine. There you're going to know where you need to target prayer and expose whatever is underlying. Now, there's 2 different people that I typically see, and I will tell you which one I enjoy seeing better. The first one is, let's call the woman, her name is Georgia. And she walks in and sits down and says, I am this is done. This is what I have done to heal this marriage. He doesn't do anything. And I am at my wit's end. Lisa, will you help me? And if I ask a question that makes her think that I think she has a flaw or has any role in their marital issues, she can't handle it. Now listen, that tells you that there's a lot of healing that needs to take place in order for her to own up to any responsibility. During this session we're doing right now, we want to look at taking responsibility for your role and your part. Now, maybe there is false responsibility, and we don't want that. A man is drinking and spends all of the rent money and blames it on the wife. And she's like, maybe if I was a better wife. No, 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 not false responsibility. I'm talking about responsibility where you can own up to it because you can't control your spouse. All you control is yourself. And maybe a person can react differently. Maybe they can uh, set before nagging, they can be praying about when to address a person. When people can't take responsibility for their own actions or responsibility for their role in the issues in the marriage, you're not going to get anywhere. And I'm not saying that sometimes there's one that's worse than the other, but it does take two. There was a time when everyone around me in an office was getting flowers from their husband, but not me. And everyone could look at that and say, he never sends her flowers. But what they didn't know was that years earlier, when he had sent me flowers, I had come down with the anvil and said, why are you spending money on such frivolousness? And he learned his lesson, and I didn't get any more flowers until I repented and said, you know what, hon? I really would like to get some flowers, and I'm sorry that I treated your thoughtfulness the way that I did. Okay? So you never know what's underneath of there. The second person, a woman, let's call her Jillian, walked into my office and she said, here's the thing. My husband has left me for another woman. I have cooked, I have cleaned, I've done all I have known to do as a wife. I've tried to be a good mother to his children, and he has left me. And I'm not saying that anything I've done is a reason for him to have fornication, because it's not. But I can see that I was not attentive. I can see how I humiliated him at times, and I'm willing to take responsibility for my role in this issue. Now, Jillian has got it going on because by all means, that husband they should have had help a lot earlier. But at least she was willing to just take a look. What if I had done this differently? What if I hadn't shut him off? I had a woman come in and threw some papers down on my desk demanding that I agree with her that her husband was having an affair and she hadn't slept with him in years and years and years. And he was like a whipped pup, I believe. And I could not say yes or no. I wasn't All she wanted me to do was side with her. So in this session, I want to say, don't do that. Do not take sides and do not assume that you know the reason that they're having marriage issues. Now, here's some of the things on the worksheet that you can print out and use. Inability to connect, trust issues, compatibility issues, selfishness, bad examples. Maybe their issue they think is that they didn't have a good role model. They both came from families where marriages weren't working. Unresolved issues from past relationships, priorities out of line, unrealistic expectations, no unity in rearing their children, communication issues, maybe stress with extended family or blended families. So what you're going to want to do is find out what they think. What do they think is wrong with the marriage? What does the spouse think is wrong? Do they even know what the other one thinks? And that may not be the issue, but it will give you something to go on and pray and for them to consider. Okay, so when you're doing this or when they're filling this out, you want to prepare them, especially if they're doing this together. They may want to sit down and say, this is what I think. What do you think? It needs to be a non-confrontational scenario where they are free to say, this is what I think. You don't have to agree with this, but I feel like you don't trust me. I think there is trust issues. Or he's able to say freely, I don't feel like we connect, without her raising up and going, don't connect. I've got 5 kids from you, dude. So it's not time to hash that out. You just want to find out what those issues possibly may be. Once they actually can say, hey, this is what I think is wrong, and maybe see their spouse's viewpoint, you can dig into that and begin saying, okay, you don't connect. Both of you agree that you don't connect. Are you willing to allow the Lord to expose why you don't connect? Okay, both of them agree there's trust issues. With trust issues, you may not want to handle that with both of them. In this model, you're basically doing separately, but I have handled it together, and it can be a little hard to take for a man to hear, I don't trust you because XYZ, and I won't ever trust you again. Sometimes things are said in this ministry mentoring setting that they need to get healing from later. So you want to be careful about what and how they're sharing it and be able to curb that and to not blaming. And what you may want to do is take down some notes. In conclusion, it can be a good idea to find out what they think is wrong, what their spouse thinks is wrong, and if they're in agreement on it. And that may help you know what to target in prayer and how to lead them in connecting with the voice of Holy Spirit.